What's up, HyperFast Nation? This episode, we're going to go over the 5 different groups of people that you should be calling weekly. Stand by for the next episode of the HyperFast Podcast. All right, real estate agents, if you want to make more money in 2023 and beyond, you got to get more regimented on the phone. There are specifically 5 groups of people that you should be calling. In today's episode, we're going to go over who those people are and what you should be doing on those phone calls. Now, before we get into who the different groups are, I think it is important to come up with a system, come up with a schedule. You should be calling the same time every day, right? Just so that it becomes a habit, it becomes a muscle, right? Just like a new workout, a new diet, anything you're trying to do, you need to build some routine and regimen around it. So these groups you can kind of mix up who you're calling. Some people might call one list one day, the next list every Tuesday, every Wednesday, right? So on and so forth. So you can organize it that way, or you can do a mix. Or multiple types of sessions per day. All right, the first group that you should be calling is circle prospecting. Some people call it geo-farming, right? Geo-calling. You get a list of homes in a neighborhood where you want to do business, or homes in a neighborhood where you already are doing business. So, you can have an open house coming up in the neighborhood. There could be, home you just sold in the neighborhood. Or you could be doing an open house for another agent at your brokerage, right? Or just giving market updates. But the idea is you call a neighborhood, right? So if, let's say, for example, you were going to host an open house on Sunday, you'd call the list and inform people about the open house, right? So call them on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, leading up to the open house. And it's super simple. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. whoever it is, this is Dan. I'm calling you because I'm hosting an open house in your neighborhood at 123 Main Street on Sunday. And I wanted to see if you knew anyone that you think would love to move into the neighborhood. People like you that you think would value this neighborhood, this area. If so, I'd love to reach out to them and let them know about the open house, right? And this really is just like an icebreaker. It's a way to start the conversation. You're asking them for something, which puts you in a deferential position. So it makes them kind of like you already. And they may or may not know someone. Most people probably won't. And then, but that's going to get the conversation started. Then you can ask them, a question like, hey, I'm expecting a lot of people to come to this open house. And I think the house could go under contract pretty quickly. And, some of the people I meet, they're not going to be looking for a home for the next 6 months, 12 months. They're just kind of early in the process, right? That happens a lot. And I want to know, do you know anybody in the neighborhood that might be thinking about selling their home in the next year? So this is how, in one question, you kind of ask them if they're thinking about selling or if they know someone else that might, right? So it's a good way to break the ice. Find out if they know anyone else that's selling, find out if they might be selling. And then, depending on how that answer goes, I think a good way to follow up with all of these calls is, hey, I send out a weekly marketing email where I update you on real estate in your area, things that are going on the market. Would you mind if I get your email and I could keep you up to date? And, maybe you'll get an email, maybe you won't. A lot of times you will, though, right? And this is how you start to build your database. Now people know you from the phone, and if you start sending your weekly email consistently, they are going to know you from that. And what do we put in this weekly email? Open houses, recently sold, and just general market updates, right? Things that are going on in the neighborhood. So it's pretty much value driven. You can also do these calls just to give people updates on a home that you just sold or that someone else in your brokerage just sold, right? And same kind of script, same kind of dialogue, right? You're going to tell them like, hey, this house just sold. There were a lot of buyers. Do you know anyone else in the neighborhood that might be selling? Because we've got a lot of interested buyers, right? or, a lot of people came through the open house. Obviously, only one of them was able to buy the home. So you can kind of do that same phone call by just giving them an update on, the house after it goes under contract or after it sells. Second group of people that you should be calling routinely is expired and withdrawn listings, especially in this market, right? We had a situation, I think, in 2020, 2021, and the first half of 2022 where homes went really, really fast, and, no matter like when and where you listed them, right? The market kind of came to a standstill in July of 2022, and we've seen a lot less transactions, a lot less inventory. Now, I will be talking in my next podcast about this phenomenon, right? Because we're not seeing prices come down. We're just seeing less deals. And a lot of times when the right house comes on the market, if it's priced right, it's going to go quickly, right? And there's more of an affordability problem, but that is for the next podcast where I'm going to talk about ways to work around this issue. Now, when it comes to the expired and withdrawn phenomena, I think what happened, listings were so easy to get for 2020, 2021, the first part of 2022, that a lot of people that were good at calling expireds quit doing it because they had other leads coming in. And, I think, so I think you're in the situation now where less real estate agents are calling expireds, okay? And there's more of them. Now, I'm not saying that there's a glut of them, but there's certainly more expired and withdrawns than there were a year ago, especially for people that priced it, that have been pricing their homes based on like the June peak numbers. Now, in a lot of areas, they're not off by that much, but I think there is this weird phenomenon where a home that is priced right will get a lot of offers and be bid up a little bit, but one that's priced just a little too much, even as little as 5%, will kind of sit, right? So I think there's these real estate agents that aren't having the proper discussions, unfortunately, with their sellers, and that's leading to more expired. So I think there's less agents calling these and more opportunity. Now, on these calls, you need to ask them if they are still willing to take an offer at market price, right? That's the specific question that we ask in the dialogue. And then our next part of this dialogue is getting timing and motivation. So, if the right offer came, when would you like to close, and what's making you want to sell this house? It looks like a nice house, right? That's the kind of the exact dialogue we use. So now we know timing, motivation, and then we're able to book an appointment and hook it back to the reason of the timing and motivation. All right. Third group that you should be calling is past clients, especially in this market, right? Because past clients are going to be a way to get repeat customers and referrals. So definitely have one day a week at least where you're, rotating, and maybe you're hitting 20% or 25% of your past clients. And, it's really just a way to check in on them, see if they've got any real estate questions, see if there's anything that, you can do for them, and then ask them if they know anyone that might be thinking about buying or selling. All right. Fourth group that you should be calling is new leads. A lot of people, respond to new leads when they come in, but then if they don't get them on that first day or second day, a lot of agents kind of neglect it. So every day you should have a list of, or every week you should be catching up with anyone that is, 90 days and in. And then, maybe once a month you have a day where you call people that are 90 days to a year out, right? So, a lot of real estate agents, you've either put in the time, the blood, sweat, and tears, getting leads, or you've paid for leads, and, so use it. Don't waste it. Call your new leads. Fifth group that you should be calling at least once a week are your current clients, right? This is sellers or buyers. So for sellers, you're giving them an update on how the listing's going, how many people are looking at it online, how many showings went, what kind of feedback you've gotten, if you're expecting offers, if you should do a price reduction. Buyers, right? Call them once a week. Ask them if they've, looked at any of the properties you've been sending them online. Give them an update on what you're doing to find them off-market properties. The point of these calls is to make them feel like, or show them what you're doing to either help them find their house or sell their house, right? Because if it's not happening, a lot of times, if they're not getting the result, even though you're putting in the effort, but they're not knowing about your effort, they're not gonna know that you are putting in that effort. So they're not gonna think they're gonna think you're doing nothing. So you need to be in constant communication with your current clients and let them know what you're doing to achieve their results in real estate. All right, so make sure you are organizing your week, hitting these 5 lists, and putting in the time on the phone. This is something that, you can't do it for a day, a week, a month, and expect to get the results. If you do this over time, if you do this consistently, your business is going to grow by double-digit percentages each and every year. So thank you for tuning in to this episode of the HyperFast Show. Please leave us reviews of the show, like the show, share, comment, all that good stuff. Give us some feedback. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and we will see you next time. And by the way, if you are a real estate agent thinking about joining eXp Realty and you want to save money, you want to build revenue share, and you want to get coaching from the HyperFast Agent program, myself and Carrie Scholl, I would be honored to talk to you about joining eXp with me. Please just send me a text message at 703-638-4393. Again, that is 703-638-4393. I'd love to talk to you about joining me at eXp. Thank you for listening.